Hey, welcome everybody. Dr. Stephen Farmer. And I like relatively short videos. So this may be 5, 7 minutes, something like that. And it really is to address kind of what's going on, but more importantly, what's going on, how we can deal with it, how we can manage, adjust to, adapt to it, etc., that kind of thing, to stay present and grounded. And I think those two key words, presence and grounded, I think are really very important right now because there's so much going on. This big transition that we're in and we've been in for a while. It's become increasingly obvious, that we are in a transition. And one of those aspects of the transition is to just be more present, be more aware, consciously aware of what's going on internally and externally as much as we possibly can. So sometimes a little tricky to do. I do want to give you one tip, and that's something I came across recently with a conversation with a doctor that I was talking with, and that's about the nervous system and the breath. And what she pointed out is that if you breathe in for about four, count of four, that breath in tends to activate the sympathetic nervous system, which is the one that says, attention, attention. And breathing out slowly, about 7 seconds, activates the parasympathetic. And we're not going to do this here in the Facebook Live thing. We're going to do a card drawing in just a sec. But I want you to try that on your own. And don't be rigid about counting, okay? One, as she pointed out, it's like when we're startled or when something jumps out at us, what do? We breathe in like that. And that activates us so to be on alert. What do? Gets us ready, prepared. Whereas the sympathetic, or excuse me, the parasympathetic nervous system is activated more by the exhale. So just keep that in mind. So the pattern might be one of do that about 4 times. Anytime during the day you start to feel stressed or overwrought. Also, I've got a breathwork workshop coming up very shortly. Just go to my website, drstephenfarmer.com. You can get more information, or my Facebook page, Dr. Stephen Farmer, the one that you're probably on right now. So present and grounded. I've already prepared the cards, done my prayers, and so we're going to pull a couple of cards from the Earth Magic Oracle card deck, which again I think most of you are probably familiar with. It's this one here. There we go. And I'm going to draw one from the Power Animals Oracle card deck. So here we go. Let's see what we got. I'm going to turn them face down. I haven't seen the cards. You and I are going to be the first to see them unless this is on the recording, in which case you won't be the first. I'll set those aside, and a Power Animals, which will be the third card. There we go. Let's see what jumps out at us here. Isn't this fun? Good grief. Okay. Oh my goodness. Childhood innocence. Whoa, communion. Okay. I'll tell you in just a sec. Wow. Okay. Here, I'm going to show you the cards just real quick. Okay. Childhood innocence. Notice the picture too, the image. Childhood innocence is the first card. Second card is eagle. Communion. Eagle's been showing up a lot in consciousness here lately, not visible, the physical bird, so much as in consciousness in a few different ways. So that's an important card because it's synchronistic. Another third is koala. Keyword is empathy here, and it just says speak less and listen more. And boy, I got a lot to say about that, but I'll try to keep it short. All right, let's say what this is telling us as to how we can maintain that presence and be grounded. And one is there's a kind of innocence that we can come to. Innocence comes, we're born into the world in a very innocent state, and then we're civilized, acculturated, we accumulate whatever baggage we have, and then we shed it over as we get into adult. Hopefully we, Robert Bly says there's a long bag we drag behind us. We keep putting parts of ourselves into that bag, and then right around 35, 40 years old, we start pulling those parts out, those shadows, and say, oh yeah, and this too, and this too. But one of the things that does happen as we age, the potential is there is innocence with wisdom. We can regain that innocence, but we have a little bit more street smarts and wisdom about the world. So what's called for here is to really go at life now in that place and that ability to just be innocent, wide-eyed, curious, wondering, wanting to explore, etc., and knowing that there's a part of you that's also wise to the ways of the world, and to heed that part as well, that protective part of you, as needed, not all the time, but just as needed. Eagle, communion. Eagle's a good spirit animal to have with you. And you can see from the image, there's a relationship that goes on with this expression of spirit in both physical and non-visible form, and that's eagle. Eagle really is about maintaining perspective, being able to see things in the broader arc. Their eyes on the side of their head, they're able to see way beyond what we see peripherally, and at the same time they're able to sharpen their focus as needed. So this idea of communion, and in many Native American traditions, eagle is considered to be the closest to creator that you can get. So it really does have that vision and that perspective. That's really important. Step back from it a while to get an eagle vision here. From what's going on. It's too easy to get trapped in the details. That kind of thing, like you're juggling. Koala empathy. I love this one. Whoop. Speak less and listen more. And the listening here is obviously we're talking about listening to others, but I'm going to put out a challenge to all of you, is when you're engaged in a conversation, see if you can say fewer words, see if you listen, and as Koala is telling us, really pay attention more closely to what's being said to you, how you feel, etc. A lot of times I think we think listening is waiting till the other person stops talking and then we can talk, but that's not what we're talking about here. And if you can put compassionate in front of that, compassionate listening, listening with an open heart, with an innocence, then I think you're being of service to this person or these people, is just to be there as a sort of a ballast point for listening. Then secondary or related to that is listening in a different way. Listening, Richard Rohr, the Franciscan priest, he calls it the second gaze. Being able to see things gazing out at the world and also listening to the world, the communications that you get from the trees, from the stars, from the moon, the new moon that we've just passed is now waxing. Pay attention to this. Ask for a message, or more, better prayer is, thank you, Grandmother Moon, for your message, what you have to say to me. And then stop, pause, and do that breathing I just told you about. See what kind of message you get. It's really, really important. Critically important. I cannot stress this enough. To, as much as you possibly can, do what you have to do to stay spiritually aligned. And there are ways. The world speaks to us in so many different ways. Synchronicities have been abundant, and they are going to continue to be. We just have to be willing to pause and pay attention. So real quick again, childhood innocence. Contemplate that. Eagle, communion. And koala, empathy. Oh, sweet koala, speak less and listen more. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I trust that this is helpful. Just let it kind of digest and process a bit, because I think this is a really good reading. I think this is excellent information that we can adhere to and do our best. So until next time, see ya. Bye. And thanks for listening in. Thanks for tuning in.